Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Moy Style podcast. So today I'm going to talk about a topic that I'm very passionate about, which is the 10 steps that I believe any infielder needs to become an elite infielder. So fielding sometimes gets, kind of people don't really care so much because I don't think it's important because obviously a lot of people think about either pitching or hitting. But to me, fielding a good defensive team has got a pretty good chance to win ball games. You can't just rely because hitting is not always going to be there, but defense you get a better shot to become to be more consistent. So the first thing that I would talk about or that I would tell you if I'm coaching you or I'm coaching your son or daughter is posture, right? So people don't think posture is so important, but that's really where it starts besides your footwork. If you don't have a good posture, then you're going to have a hard time, first of all, being smooth with your hands, right? Having good footwork and being able to trust reading different hops. So, what I mean about having good posture, it's you have to have a good hinge at the hips, right? If you don't have a good hinge at the hips, you're gonna get your butt down. And I know a lot of kids that are taught at a young age to get their butt down. So what'll end up happening is that their knees start to push out and their chest and face starts to come up, and that's why they're afraid of the ball sometimes because they end up losing track of the ball. Plus, they don't really move as well when they get their butt so low. So they have to do the opposite. You have to bend at the waist, right? Not saying you have to lock your knees, but you have to have a little bend at the waist. And you have to get your chest and face close to the ground so you can move a whole lot better. Um, I have a couple online courses like the one that I recommend the most. If you go over here, if you go to my website on their courses here, you click on courses, okay, it'll take you right to a couple of different options. So you have the Master of Art of Fielding, and then you have the one where you can pay for the year. So you'll have access for the full year, or you can pay for it monthly as well. So if you want to test it out and see what it's what it's like, and then you can continue on with it from there, or you can just cancel at any point. And you also have the master in field and timing, which is for infielders that are not necessarily confident about reading different hops. They're afraid of the ball. So going back to how to get in the proper posture, if you go over here to the course, okay, mastering the art of fielding. So I'm already here in the course. Obviously, you'll start here and you click start course, so you can start from the beginning. But if you go under fundamentals of fielding, okay, let me click on here real quick. Okay, you're gonna see right here that get in the proper posture. So I break down a couple of great drills that any player can do to be able to get in the proper posture. And then after that, obviously, we go into fielding and all that good stuff. So I'm gonna back up here real quick. So now the next thing that I would talk about it's glove presentation. Okay, so glove presentation is to me is huge because if you don't know how to have proper glove presentation by bringing your fingers back, whether you're fielding the balls right at you, backhand, short hop, forehand, long hop, all kinds of different hops, or even receiving throws on the double plays. If you don't know how to properly present your glove, you're gonna have a hard time having soft hands and giving the yourself a good pocket. So that's one of the things that I break down here on this Master in the Art of Fielding. As you can see here, you have the intro to glove presentation, intro to hands presentation. So I literally break it down step by step on what you need. And I promise you, if you literally follow it step by step how I have it set up here, you're gonna see a huge difference. And I'm not saying it because I take a lot of pride in what I do. I've been doing this my whole life, and now that I'm coaching players, I see different things more and more, and I figure out ways to help them out. So you have to have a glove presentation to be able to hit the pocket, same pocket consistently. Now, you have to be able to learn how to make different plays, right? So what I mean by that is that you have to learn how to feel ground balls right at you. So straight on ground balls, you have to be able to learn how to feel the backhand, how to field forehand, how to field a short hop, how to field a long hop, and that goes backhand and forehand. How to receive throws from the catchers, whether you're a third, short, second, or first, or um, receiving back picks, throw downs from the catcher at second base, um, throws from the catcher on a steal and a back pick, all that type of stuff. That seems like a lot, but it all goes back to basically your posture and your glove presentation. If you learn how to master those two, you're ahead of the curve. Okay, so now we go into footwork. Okay, so footwork obviously is very important just about any sport out there. I'm not sure there's a sport that you don't need footwork. Maybe there is. I can't think of it right now, but for the most part, in sports you're gonna need footwork. Okay, so I'm gonna go back over here. Okay, so footwork. That's one of the things that I put there just because a lot of people need to work on that, obviously. And one of the things that I noticed the most is that, and I hate to say this because I like the kids that are putting in the work and coaches are trying to help other players, but a lot of times they work on try to do quick feet with ladders. But I feel like a lot of those exercises are just kind of in a way it's kind of a waste. As good as they might look, because for fielding you don't necessarily you have to do all this footwork with the ladder. Again, I'm not saying it's bad, but I don't think it'll really benefit you as an infielder if you're really trying to get a lot faster with your feet. So right here, I literally explain everything step by step. So I have, just like anything else, like an intro to footwork. Okay, so I explain to you what part of your feet you have to replace with. So let's say you're a righty, so you have to, if you're going forward, you will try to replace with the inside part of the ball of your back foot. Okay, that's when you start to really work. You start to actually replace your feet and not drag your feet or cross your feet. Because the last thing you want to do as an infielder, start crossing your feet or drag the back foot. That's when you see infielders go up and down with their head. So right here, I do different drills where you go shuffle forward and back. And right here, I do use a ladder, but I use it because I want the infielders to be able to replace the feet just close enough to the ground, but not dragging it or not too big to where you just clear the ladder. And that's really how you will replace your feet as an infield. It doesn't matter if you're going forehand right at you, short hop. Anytime you're trying to set your feet or you're trying to replace your feet, the footwork doesn't really change at all. Just a matter of, if you're moving left or right. But it's the same thing. You're always replacing with the inside part of the back foot. And obviously, we want to be able to move smoothly, not heavy with our feet, like real choppy. Okay, so I have different footwork drills and everything here. And what I really try to do on this course is to make sure I didn't have a bunch of equipment that you needed to buy to be able to to get faster to get quicker with your feet, to get softer with your hands or anything like that. There might be a couple of tools that you can use here and there, but I try to make it to where anybody can do it at any place, anywhere really, with just minimum equipment. Okay, so footwork, obviously, like everybody knows, is very important. Okay, you got to be able to move. When you go to a backhand, you got to be able to learn how to replace your feet or set your feet in place. When you go forehand, how to get your feet lined up quickly towards your target. If you're turning double plays, if you're throwing the run, all that type of stuff. So I break all that down there on this course. Which, by the way, I don't mean to stop here the steps, but if you know your son or daughter, or if you're the player, you need to work on specific skill. Don't try to do everything at once. Just start off with one thing, get real good at that, okay, and then move on to the next thing. Don't try to do everything at once because you're gonna get overwhelmed and you're not really gonna get better at anything. You might get a little bit better, but you're not gonna really excel like this program is designed. Okay, now here's the other thing that a lot of people don't realize, which is throwing. A lot of people think that throwing it's only for pitchers, and I actually got I partnered up with a company called Pocket Path, which I'm gonna leave the link below, so you can have access to it. It's a pretty awesome tool because it'll help kids learn how to properly pull back. Let me get to it real quick here. So it'll help kids how to properly pull back, how to create the right whip. So I thought that was it's a great tool. I'm gonna play a quick video here real quick, so you can kind of get the idea what it does. So I got pretty much all the drill progressions there. I'm gonna try to. Okay, now we're gonna work on the separation here. I'm gonna try to lower the volume here a bit. So as you can see, we have a sleeve right here, right, where they put the ball and they separate so they can get to the right pullback, which a lot of kids, they struggle with that because they either want to get real long with their, when they separate, like their arm goes all the way down, or sometimes it goes all the way up. So teaching them how to properly pull back, how to get the elbow somewhere even with the shoulder will teach them how to create the right whip. So that's what I'm showing here. So as you can see, we don't want the ball to go straight up. So I'm gonna let it play here for a second. So I think it's a pretty cool tool, especially for infielders that just have a hard time learning how to properly get to the right pullback and how to create a whip. Because as an infielder, you have to learn how to create a proper whip. And on top of that, we have arm care, which that's one of the things that I break down here. It's not only just to basically get ready to throw, but you have to be able to get ready to throw, but you also have to do it after you throw, so you keep strengthening your shoulder, keep strengthening your arm, because that's the key to get stronger as a thrower. You have to be able to do all this type of work with the bands, with the weighted balls, and as you can see here, I break down all the exercise that you're supposed to do, when to do it, how many sets, how many reps, all that good stuff. So that alone, it's what I think a lot of people kind of sometimes don't think it's important, and I really think it is, because it's not only feeling the ball, but you got to be able to throw the ball accurately, and at the same time you have to take care of your arm, because you can't just throw and not really supplement the arm to be able to stay healthy for a long time. So so as you can tell, obviously I have everything set up here. I also have how to properly play catch. So play catch with a purpose, which is one of the things that I preach all the time. I literally have it step by step how to work on this on different throws. So if you're trying to work on different angles, I set up right here. So I'm explaining first what you're supposed to do, and then we work on throwing over the top, throwing 3/4, throwing sidearm, which a lot of people think sidearm is just letting the arm hang out there. That's why it's so important to learn how to get in the proper posture so you can match all these throwing angles, because you're not only going to make plays right at you, you have to also make backhand plays, forehand plays, throws on the run, and all those different throws are going to need, they require an arm angle. So I have all that set up as well there. Hey guys, as an appreciation for hanging out with me this long, I want to give you 10% off for any of my 2 online infield courses. So you have the Master of Art Fielding course. You can get 10% of that for either the monthly or the yearly, and you can also get 10% off if you purchase the mini course, which is the Master in Fielding Timing. When you go over here to my full course, you're going to have access to over 250 lessons that you can choose from. Just make sure you type in Moy Podcast 10 to get 10% off. And if you follow step by step how I have it set up in this program, I guarantee you're going to see results. You have to also pay attention what field you're playing on, right? So that to me will be step number 6. So you have to really know what field you're playing on, because if you're playing on turf, a lot of times it's going to be a lot faster than playing on dirt, and the hops are going to be different. So you're going to get true hops there on turf. When you play on dirt, you're going to have to deal with either, is the dirt soft? Is the grass pretty fast there, like between the infield and the grass and the infield? Is it pretty choppy? All that type of stuff. And especially if you play at the younger levels, on the fields that you play on, they're not going to be the smoothest, right? So you're going to have to really learn the field to be able to make different plays. Some if you play on turf, you may be able to kind of slightly drop step more than you would on dirt. So obviously, again, you have to learn. You have to learn the field. You have to know where you're playing. Is it a rainy day? Is it soft? Is it hard? Is it fast? All that type of stuff. Okay. Now, another thing that I think is very important is the mental side of the game, right? Because a lot of times we take ground balls, right? We do great in practice, but when it comes to playing in the game, sometimes we just panic, right? Because when with the problem with fielding is that we don't get a ball hit to us every single time, right? So it's not like hitting where you know you're gonna see a pitch every time, or if you're pitching, you're gonna throw a ball every time. As an infielder, sometimes it could actually get boring for infielders because let's say you got a pitcher that throw ball, and then all of a sudden here comes a ball hit to you. Or sometimes you'll go a couple of innings without even getting a single ground ball or getting any action at all. But when it does happen, you have to be able to be ready, right? So you have to keep your mind busy. And I've been reading a lot about the mental side of the game. So I've been trying to pick on different tricks and tips that I give the players as I've been learning along the way. A lot of times I tell the players to kind of just turn around and look at a sign, like look at the scoreboard, look at just any specific sign out on the field, so you can release all the either the frustration when you miss a ball, or you can kind of refocus. Because a lot of times we talk about focusing, but we forget to talk about refocusing, which is a hard thing to do, especially as an infielder if you don't get a ball hit to you. Another thing that you have to do too is constantly be talking. That's part of the mental side of it too, because if you're talking, you keep your mind busy instead of just kind of spacing out all the time. And you gotta obviously, as an infielder, you gotta want the ball, right? So you want the ball to be hit to you. That's what I was taught at a young age. You gotta want the ball because when it's hit to you, the last thing you want to do is be shocked and then panic and not have a shot to even make a play. And then on top of that, you have to know where to go with the ball, right? Because not everything is fielding the ball, throwing it to first, right? You have to be able to turn the place. Sometimes you may have to throw it to a different base. You may have to make a different play. Let's say you're playing shortstop and you got a runner on first and second. You get a backhand play. Instead of turning a double play to second, now we're going to throw it to third, all that type of stuff, right? So as a third baseman, you get a ball hit, you get a runner on first, you get a ball hit to your left, or you get a runner on first and second, you get a ball hit to your left. Instead of going back and stepping on the back, roll it up. If it takes you to your right, step on the back. That type of stuff. So you have to be constantly be thinking about the next play before it happens. So we're not just out there, getting shocked by the ball. And then we spend all this time doing drills, all that great stuff, but we forget about putting it all together mentally. Now, I used to study. The next step that I would tell you would be number 8, which would be studying infielders. So other infielders, whether they're good or bad, right? So obviously bad is because you want to kind of see what you're not supposed to do. But at the same time, you kind of in a way become a coach in your head, right? So you start noticing things that they do. I'm like, man, if he would have done this, he would have made that play. So it starts to click more for you. But also you start paying attention to the pros, right? So I used to watch Omar Vizquel. To me, that he was to this day, still to me is like the greatest shortstop of all time. Just because I feel like we were the same height, arm strength, and all that type of stuff. Now, obviously, he won 11 Gold Gloves. I didn't really make it, but but he was my idol, right? So I would always try to like some way imitate his style. So not that I wanted to kind of do everything exactly how he did it, but I wanted to imitate his style to kind of create my own style. Because as an infielder, you have to be smooth. You have to be able to kind of dance with the ball a little bit. You have to you have to be in a way be a little flexible. But I remember I used to watch Omar Vizquel. I was like, man, like everything looks so easy to him. Like, you obviously at the big league level, you got guys that are hitting balls, upper 90s, sometimes over 100 now, and the guy would make it look so easy. And so, to me, that was so cool. So I would try to imitate some of those things, not to like imitate some of the fancy stuff, because sometimes they'll do certain things that other people can't do. But just the, like how he approached the ball, how he make different plays, how he made different throws, all that type of stuff. So there's nothing wrong with trying to kind of imitate somebody else's style, but to make it your own, and that'll teach you, become a lot smoother infielder. Um, Now, number 9 would be choosing the right glove, right? So now I'm not saying if you have a glove that if you don't, you can't afford a nicer glove, then doesn't mean that you're not going to be able to play infield. But when you have your glove, I always give some infielders a hard time because I want them to have a pretty flat surface in the glove, a pretty flat pocket, so they can actually, when they squeeze it, they got a bigger pocket. A lot of times when they squeeze the glove, I don't know if you've seen it before, but they'll try to squeeze it with their 3 fingers, okay, and they'll kind of shove the palm in, and they start to lose the pocket. And so to me, that's pretty important because obviously you want to take care of it, but you also want to shape it the way it fits your hand, not just all floppy there and like just kind of throwing the glove around. Even though you'll see some big leaguers, they'll throw their glove around a bit. You want to shape it the way you get a full pocket, so you can actually hit the right spot every time and have obviously a better pocket to field with. And then the last thing that I would say, number 10, would be learn how to overcome failure, right? So this is something that everybody deals with, right? I'm sure you've heard this before, how to overcome failure. But I used to, I remember I used to complain about certain fields, and I had a coach in college. I would get so frustrated when he would tell me this, but then I got it. He would always say, "There's not such a thing as bad fields, only bad infielders." And so at first I was frustrated because I was like, "Okay, whatever, you're not out there." But then it hit me, right? Because I had to learn how to overcome those obstacles, those failures. I had to learn how to read different hops instead of making excuses about the field. Especially when I was growing up, we were taught to field ground balls on fields that were pretty rough, and sometimes I got hit on the lip a couple of times. But obviously I learned as I went along the way. But I thought that was a pretty good quote from my coach. There's not such a thing as bad fields, only bad infielders. And later on, it hit me, right? But you got to also think, right? Every time you make an error, it's an opportunity for you to make a new adjustment. And so that's the way I look at it, because a lot of times we think, well, we've made an error. Like for me, when I played, back when I was playing, I thought if I made an error, the world's going to come to an end, because that was my thing, fielding. I wanted to make sure my fielding was up to par, even though my hitting, might struggle, but I wanted to make sure my fielding was up to par there. But it wasn't always going to be that way. So that took me forever to figure out. And that's what I teach the infielders nowadays. They have to learn how to refocus, how to reset. And that's easy for us to say it, but it's hard to do when you're in the middle of the game, when you got the game in the line and then you miss the ball, right? How the heck do you bounce back from that? So you have to really learn on how to overcome that. And you have to, I do that in practice sometimes to test them out. I make it harder in practice because I want them to fail so they learn how to overcome that and get tougher mentally instead of just waiting for it to happen in the game. And now you don't even know what to do. You're going to want to quit, all that stuff. So to me, those are the 10 steps. I'm sure I got a couple more, but those are the main ones that I really believe and I can think of right now as well to become an elite infielder. So if you have any other steps that you think are important, if you can leave it in the comment section below, that would be great. And that's pretty much what I got. So until next time, keep it Moy Style.